Hi, I am going to walk you through our second lecture here for chapter 4. You can see that I'm on the chapter 4 completing the accounting cycle page. And there's two documents that I ask you to open up: the instructions for Julia's worksheet and then Julia's trial balance. And we're going to open up both those documents and then learn how to take them to a worksheet. So the first one, the instructions for Julia's worksheet, I'm going to go through this and then we'll open the second one. So where it starts is it says the unadjusted trial balance of Julia's computer consulting as of the end of May 2023 is attached. And these are the 6 steps that we're going to complete in this, learn how to do in this chapter. So the first thing we need to do is enter the unadjusted trial balance. If you remember, that's just all the balances of the accounts in the general ledger before your AJEs. Then in step 2, we're going to journalize our AJEs, also known as adjusting journal entries. Then we're going to enter them into the worksheet and balance those out. And then we're going to carry the numbers across, complete the worksheet, and then do our financial statements. So if you remember from the prior lecture, a worksheet is simply a tool that we use to prepare our financial statements. So a couple things, you're going to want to get this in front of you, the worksheet instructions. We're going to start by that second document, taking the unadjusted trial balance, and then we're going to enter all of it in something called a 10-column worksheet. And a 10-column worksheet looks like this. Now you're probably saying, well, gosh, I don't have one of those in front of me. You can just make one on a piece of paper. So you can see there's a row for date, and then there's a bigger space here for account titles. And then there's 2 columns, 4 columns, 6 columns, 8 columns, 10 columns across. Okay, so if I were just making one of these, I would just take a regular piece of paper, typewriter paper, and do just what we just looked at. So you're going to want to find some sort of straight edge that you can draw with, and you're going to make your date column, a little bit of a thicker column for account titles, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know you can't see this right now. 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So if you want to go ahead and make that, that's a good start. And then I'm actually going to use my the one that I've got in front of me here, and I'll show you how to set up the titles for it. The focus on this is going to be a little problematic, so please bear with me. Okay, so the first thing that we do once you have all those columns set up is we want to put in on the big one, account title. And then so this says account title, and then put debit, credit. So just do that all the way across all 10 columns: debit, credit, debit, credit, debit, credit. And then I'll show you what to write in above those. Credit, 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 And these first two columns are called the unadjusted trial balance. And those numbers are going to come from that second document I just showed you. Then the next two columns are the AJEs. The next two columns are the adjusted trial balance, which we learned in chapter 3 is simply the culmination of the first two columns plus or minus these. And then we've got our income statement and our balance sheet. And these final two columns, the income statement and the balance sheet, obviously when we get numbers over here, this is what we're going to use to prepare the financial statements. So the first thing we want to do is to go and enter all of these. I know this is going to feel tedious, but bear with me. It's just part of the learning process. We're going to enter this unadjusted trial balance, these amounts and titles onto our worksheet. So go ahead, you can stop the, pause the video and enter all that in. So I'm going to do this. I've got all my current assets first. Prepaid insurance, 4658. And then I'm going to move on to my long-term assets. So I've got a building. And then, of course, the contra asset, accumulated depreciation, and that has a credit balance. So always being mindful that you're getting things in the right. Is it in the debit or the credit column? And of course, accumulated depreciation is a credit. And then our equipment and our accumulated depreciation equipment. 4,100 and 146. And then I'm starting on my liabilities. Unearned revenue is a liability. I owe somebody some work. They've paid me for some work and I haven't done it yet. Accounts payable, mortgage payable, that means it's a piece of real estate that I owe money on. That's what the term mortgage means. Okay, 80,000. And then I've got my Julia Rodriguez capital account. Credit balance, of course, 98,700. I've got my Julia Rodriguez drawing account, which has a debit balance of 2,000. And it's a consulting business. My revenue account is consulting revenue. I'm just copying now from the unadjusted trial balance. It was that second document on Moodle that we just looked at. And then I've got some expenses. It looks like I've got auto expense for 544, repairs and maintenance expense for 84, utilities expense for 210, interest expense, I don't have any number in there yet, salaries expense 1,800, and rent expense 750. So when you get your unadjusted trial balance in there, the first thing I'm going to go down a couple rows and I want to make sure that they total up. You can never move on in your worksheet if everything doesn't total. So I should have already done this. I'm going to just go ahead and use Excel to auto sum and make sure my debits equal my credits. 191,963. 191,963. So go ahead and put that in the total column for each. So all good. Now I'm going to make my adjusting journal entries. To make adjusting journal entries before I can go to the worksheet, I'm going to actually do them on a journal. So please set up a journal. You know, you've got 5 columns, right? You've got date and description. And then you've got a little column called posting reference, which we're not really using yet, and debits and credits. And I'm going to go ahead and start looking at the instructions, the information to make the AJEs. So I'm using this, right? And I've done the first one, step 1. I've entered the accounts and balances in the first 2 columns of the 10-column worksheet. Now I'm going to journalize my AJEs. So I am going to let you do these. This is important that you do this on your own, that you make the AJEs. So I'm going to turn off this tape, and I'll have a second tape where we come back on and we put them on the worksheet and finish it. But I would like you to go now and journalize your AJEs. So we'll do the first one together. We're at the end of May, but then I'm going to turn this video off and start another one and give you a chance to make the AJEs. So for example, the first one says I billed customers $1,550 for services provided. So I know that's an accrued revenue from what we learned in chapter 3. So I've got, this is my journal, my general journal. So on 5/31, I know that I want a debit accounts receivable and credit consulting revenue for $1,550 for my adjusting journal entry. So again, I'm going to shut this off. Go ahead, please, and make your AJEs on your journal, and then I'll meet you back on the second video and we'll take them to the worksheet.